Here's a thought. What if long-serving Caribbean leaders are holding us back? Imagine a world where leaders step aside before power dulls their vision, invigorating democracy with fresh ideas. But that's not our reality. Take Jamaica, for instance, where Prime Minister Andrew Holness is pursuing a third term, potentially joining the elite club of leaders like Patterson and Ralph Gonsalves. Are we better served by leaders who stay, or would term limits unlock our region's untapped potential? In Jamaica, Patterson's three-term tenure from 1992 to 2006 brought monumental achievements. He ended Jamaica's dependency on the IMF, modernized telecommunications, and reduced poverty by 70%. Yet, even Patterson's admirers might admit that 14 years is a long time for one person to shape a nation's future. Prolonged tenures risk stagnation as familiar voices dominate, and innovative solutions fade into the background. Jamaica is not alone. Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been in power since 2001, making him one of the longest-serving leaders in the Caribbean. While his leadership advanced healthcare, education, and regional integration, critics argue that it concentrated power and sidelined emerging talents. Gonsalves himself defends long tenures, claiming leadership talent is scarce in the region. But does this scarcity justify decades of uninterrupted rule? Here's the problem with leaders who linger. Power often corrodes their urgency. When leaders don't face the ticking clock of term limits, their focus can drift from the people to maintaining their grip on office. Historical examples, like Fidel Castro's 49-year rule in Cuba, underscore this risk. While Castro revolutionized healthcare and education, his prolonged reign also suppressed dissent and tightened authoritarian control. But what if we reimagine leadership with term limits? Guyana already caps presidential terms at 2 5-year stints, ensuring leadership rotation and protecting democratic accountability. Could this model be the reset button the Caribbean needs? Let's break it down. Here are 6 reasons why term limits could be a game changer. 1. Promotion of political renewal. Regular transitions invite fresh ideas and perspectives, fostering innovation and adaptability. A dynamic political landscape encourages younger leaders to step forward, bringing energy and creativity to governance. This renewal can lead to bold policies and reforms that address current issues more effectively, rather than recycling outdated strategies. 2. Democratic stability. Predictable leadership changes strengthen trust in institutions and reduce risks of civil unrest. Knowing that leadership will rotate ensures a level playing field and gives opposition parties a fair chance to contribute. This stability is essential for fostering investor confidence and maintaining national unity. 3. Incentivizing good governance. Finite terms push leaders to focus on impactful policies and build a lasting legacy. Without the safety net of indefinite tenure, leaders are driven to prioritize results over rhetoric. This urgency often leads to ambitious projects and reforms that benefit the public in tangible ways as leaders aim to solidify their place in history. 4. Reduction of corruption. Shorter tenures limit opportunities to build entrenched patronage networks. Corruption thrives in environments where power remains unchecked for extended periods. By rotating leadership, term limits disrupt these networks, making it harder for leaders to exploit public resources for personal or political gain. 5. Strengthening political institutions. Rotating leadership keeps systems responsive, adaptable, and centered on public service. Term limits shift the focus from individual leaders to the institutions themselves, ensuring that policies and principles, rather than personalities, drive governance. This creates a more resilient political framework, capable of weathering changes in leadership. 6. Prevention of power abuse. Leaders who know their time is limited are less likely to manipulate systems for personal gain. With a clear end point in sight, the incentive to cling to power diminishes. For example, systems like those in the United States ensure that leadership roles are refreshed, making it harder for any one individual to consolidate power excessively. This creates a safeguard against authoritarian tendencies. Doesn't this make sense? If you're finding value in this discussion, hit that subscribe button. We tackle topics like this to spark debate and drive positive change. Join us to stay informed and empowered. Critics of term limits argue that they could deprive the region of seasoned leadership. But let's challenge that narrative. Is the Caribbean truly short on talent, or does long-term incumbency overshadow emerging leaders? The United States, with its two-term presidential limit, consistently produces leaders across generations. Why should the Caribbean be any different? Additionally, some worry that frequent leadership changes disrupt continuity. However, continuity shouldn't rest on one individual. Strong institutions ensure stability regardless of who holds office. Countries like Ghana and Mexico have proven this with their successful term limits, fostering stability and innovation. Globally, term limits have empowered nations to thrive. Take Mexico, where presidents serve a single 6-year term. This absolute limit curbs power consolidation while ensuring impactful governance. Similarly, Ghana's two-term presidency has bolstered its democratic credentials, making peaceful power transitions the norm. Closer to home, the Cayman Islands limit their premier to 2 terms, demonstrating a proactive approach to democratic renewal. These systems balance leadership turnover with institutional continuity, proving that term limits can work in diverse political landscapes. Here are 2 fascinating facts to consider. 1. Did you know that in 2020, Ralph Gonsalves secured his 5th consecutive electoral victory? That's a regional record that raises important questions about leadership turnover. 2. The Dominican Republic's fluctuating policies on term limits show how unstable rules can undermine governance. Clear, consistent term limits foster trust and stability. The time has come for a serious discussion about term limits in the Caribbean. Long-serving leaders may bring stability, but they also risk stagnation, power abuse, and lost opportunities for fresh perspectives. Implementing term limits isn't about opposing current leaders, it's about strengthening democracy for future generations. Now we want to hear from you. Should Caribbean nations adopt term limits for their leaders? Please share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into critical issues shaping our region. Together, let's reimagine leadership for a brighter tomorrow.